Mr. Deputy Speaker, there have been many questions asked about the Ridout tenancies. I welcome the scrutiny, the questions, because financial integrity and probity are critical for Singapore and for anyone standing up here. Without that, we will be finished as a country. And even though I hadn't factored in a CPIB interview as part of my job description, together with the caution, I believe it to be important. As a member of the government, I think it's important that I am held accountable to Singaporeans and to subject myself and this matter to scrutiny. That is how our system works and must continue to work. No one is above the law. CPIB has investigated on whether I've had any unfair benefit. The CPIB investigations have made clear there was no preferential treatment or abuse of position. The rules were followed. Proper market rental was paid. And Senior Minister Teo's report also makes clear there was no conflict of interest. That is a key point, and I'll come back to that. I'll now answer some questions people have raised with me. Some of these questions relate to the choices I made and which are very private. Many will appreciate that the choice of a person's home is typically a personal and private matter. But I am mindful that as an elected official whose authority is conferred on me by the trust of Singaporeans, the lines between what is personal and public may not always be clear. So I will speak of them. The questions I will deal with are: 1, why am I living in a rented place in the first place? Why am I not living in my own house? 2, am I making some money renting out my own property while I live in a house rented from the state? 3, the size of the land surrounding the Ridout house. And 4, what the Ridout house is like. And 5, was there a conflict of interest? First, why am I renting? I'm renting because I decided to put my family home, where I was living before June 2018, up for sale. In 2016, I was approaching my 60s, age-wise. I reviewed my finances, realized that too much of my savings were tied up in my family home. I had bought the house using my previous income as a lawyer before I became a minister. When I bought my family home, I had assumed a future stream of income based on what I was earning in the private sector. After I became a minister, my income changed, and thus I found too much of my savings was tied up in one house. I was advised it would be wiser not to have most of one's savings in one asset, so I decided to put my family home for sale. Before I proceed further, let me make it clear, I did not consider selling my own home because of financial need. That wasn't the case. And I also do not regret having foregone my previous earnings as a senior counsel. It is a privilege to be in public service, and if I'm asked, I'll make the same choice again. So to prepare for the sale, I decided to move out from my family home and live in a rental property. I looked at several rental properties, including black and white houses. I've long liked black and white houses. And eventually in 2018, I decided to make an offer for 26 Ridout Road. I didn't know the guide rent. I told my agent to assess how much I should offer based on surrounding properties. My agent advised me that $25,000 a month would be a fair offer based on rentals for similar properties at that time, and taking into account the built-up area and the condition of the property. So we offered $25,000. I told my agent I should not be paying less than what my neighbors paid, but I'm not sure exactly when I told him that. SLA came back with a counter-offer of $26,500, which we accepted without further negotiations. I had no idea when I accepted SLA's counteroffer what the guide rent or the minimum rent was. These were decisions internal to SLA that I wasn't privy to. Around the same time, I also rented out my family home while deciding on the sale. It took me a while to decide to sell, and then COVID intervened. My family home was put on the market in November 2021. It has been asked, am I renting out my family home and in turn living at 26 Ridout Road so that I can make some money from the rental difference? The first point, I'm paying market rent for now, number 26, and that is the critical point. But I will add, in fact, the answer is no. I'm not making any money from the difference in rentals. I pay for the rental of 26 Ridout Road, mostly from renting out my family home, but taking into account property tax, because the family home is now non-owner occupied, and 2, income tax on the rental proceeds, there is a net deficit. I top up the deficit. I am, in essence, using my previous lawyer's income to pay for the rental for 26 Ridout Road. Based on my current income, I would not have offered to rent 26 Ridout Road. That is based on my personal approach to finances. I should add, my family home, I think some people know, is a GCB. So I moved from there for the reasons that I have explained.